Good morning, Ram Nation. Welcome into DNVR Rams Live, presented by High Plainz Strains, the Northeastern Colorado dispensary, providing top-quality cannabis and a wide variety of products. If you give them a visit, be sure to mention DNVR to take advantage of these deals. I'm Justin Michael. I'm joined by my main man, Andre Simone, back from Italy, looking fresh as ever. Got the 90s drip.
That's right.
You look like you showed up in a Mini Cooper or something.
Yeah, I wish. Though my Honda's starting to get there, starting to become retro. Yeah, went back home to Milan. Very nice. I missed you, but I enjoyed myself tremendously. And Milan, fashion capital of the world. This is how the kids are dressing. No, not necessarily exactly like this, but the 90s drip is back. So I tried my best to get my. This is how I used to dress ultimately.
Hey, I like it, man. You look like I would have worn that from 18 to 21 for sure, and now it's all come back. So I feel good. I'm glad I didn't get rid of all that stuff. My windbreakers, all the classic starter jackets. It comes full circle. We're talking Mountain West hoops because this league is as deep as ever. I legitimately believe it's a top 5 league. I think you can make an argument it's a top 4 basketball league. We'll get into some of those numbers. Dre and I are going to talk about a big win Tuesday night over New Mexico. The number 13 Rams now 13-1 with a big win over New Mexico, 12-2. That I think, frankly, a couple months from now, we're going to look back at potentially one of the key moments in a title run. That is a really good team that they got to get healthy. They're kind of coming together at the right time here, but I'm glad that the Rams were able to get that one out of the way when they did.
Back at the pit's going to be interesting.
It's going to be fun. I'm already looking into it. I'd like to maybe get down there. We'll see. It's not that bad of a drive. So really looking forward to the rest of this Mountain West slate. You texted me last night. You were locked into that game Tuesday. I was there with Ryan Green. I'm going to have some written pieces that come out this afternoon. But, what was your biggest takeaway from this win?
Biggest takeaway is when this team is humming, there's nothing like it. There are so many different offensive hubs, and it's a team that's 9 deep easily. I think that's when guys are starting to get healthy and stuff. I've been talking up Scott and Mbemba, and Cartier was the star of the show. That was an amazing game. I mean, again, how many offensive hubs can you have? Just your bigs. Isaiah Stevens, though, is just at a different level right now. Absolute superstar in the sport. True All-American. He's just in control in ways that you're not. I honestly, maybe my biggest takeaway, and I don't want to go negative right off the bat, but sometimes you do, is I hate these tentative starts at Moby. It's so reminiscent of St. Mary's, man.
Yeah.
Moby's sacred. You got to honor that home court, and you can't be that lackadaisical. I thought Isaiah really carried the team on his back early. And, there were just some interesting turning points there. And then once things got humming, they got humming. But I was worried about our first half spread there for a sec.
I honestly wasn't too worried. New Mexico did jump out to a 5-0 lead. They led basically the first 10 minutes of the game. I thought defensively, CSU struggled a little bit with the pick and roll. They were giving up some easy looks in the paint. Then they started to switch some things, how they handled the ball screens, kind of prevented some of those entry passes a little bit better. And we saw, especially in the second half there, the Rams step it up defensively. That was a big factor. I'm with you. I thought offensively, they took some uncharacteristic shots kind of early. There was a lot more one-on-one play than we typically see from CSU. They had key stretches where the ball movement was good, but that was definitely something that stood out. And I do think it was partially because of how aggressive New Mexico defends on ball. And they did a good job of switching up some stuff with throwing some zone looks, and then they switched that up as well. So I thought it was a kind of a chess match between two teams with really great point guards. Jalen House is a phenomenal player. I mean, he had 14 points in like 18 minutes. Yep. Obviously, him being in foul trouble was a really huge factor in this win.
He was nuts. What was the atmosphere as he's like
so supposedly he said some language I'm not going to repeat on this podcast, some stuff that homophobic language.
No, we don't want that.
He said some bad stuff at the crowd. I don't know the validity of it. I've heard it from enough people that I believe it happened. People I trust. I'm not the guy to lead a brigade and be like, the league needs to suspend him and all this. I think stuff does happen in the heat of the moment. I think it's a bad look for him, as was him, kind of throwing a temper tantrum basically when he got subbed out with his 4th foul there. And at the end of the day, like, he has to live with, the way that his lack of composure really negatively impacted his team in a major loss. And that's kind of the big difference, I think, between these two teams is
it's true.
It was composure. The Rams had their moments.
That's a good point.
15 turnovers, way more than we're used to seeing. The first time all year, they've had more turnovers than assists. That was weird. But they got back in transition. They won on the glass. They did the little things, I think, to prevent this from, getting out of control. And like we said there, New Mexico had that 5-0 run to start the game. They had 3 other 5-0 spurts. No other runs that extended anything past 5 in this game. And that was big. Whereas CSU, they took the lead with a 10-0 run. They had a 9-0 run to go up double digits in the second half, and then they had another 9-0 run to extend it to 17. Those were, a couple of really key stretches that kind of swung the game in their favor.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right, composure was the key, because I can talk about how they were tentative. I think especially early on the perimeter, Neek, Jalen, just a little too tentative. Even when the first subs and all the backups come in with Isaiah, Joe Palmer didn't have his first bucket until like halfway through the second half.
He missed 3 or 4 really good looks that he typically knocks down.
So just on the perimeter, they're not making shots, and they weren't even like, it was just these lateral Princeton offense type passes. And then, Joe gets into early foul trouble, and Bemba coming in, I thought completely changed the tone. You go from tentative to aggressive.
Agreed.
And
they stopped getting bullied in the paint when he came in.
100%.
And he did pick up a couple of fouls, but that's fine.
Right.
You've got 5 of them.
But you know what? The beauty was he sets the tone, is forced out, and I think Cartier has to be subbed in earlier than Nico would have. That changed the game as well, because
and Cartier
then
comes back. He
Cartier
starts scoring.
coming back,
Yeah.
being on the bench a shorter while he just got going. And then you had 2 offensive hubs, and the offense started clicking a bit more. And by the second half, it's a thing of beauty. It's just like everything's working to perfection. They were composed. First half, if New Mexico isn't missing all those free throws, it's a very close game.
It was huge. I mean, it was just a couple of little things really swung this one. I mean, it was CSU got up 17 at one point. I don't think that was a true representative of what that game was. I think how it ended,
Totally
6-point game, should have been a 6-point win. They foul with 2 seconds left. The Rams end up winning by 8. That cost me, and we'll talk about that one off there.
No.
It was a brutal bad beat.
I was gonna say it was 3.5. Shouldn't have mattered.
No, I took the exact total of the win by 4-6.
Oh no,
which was not fun, but hey, that's part of the game. I thought this was a really big win. I'm glad you brought up Cartier. His efficiency for this team is huge. 21 points, 8 of 12 from the floor. Over his last 7 games since coming back from injury, he's scored double-digit figures in every game on 57% or better from the floor. Most nights it's more like 75%, 80%.
Crazy.
If he shoots 60%, you're like, sheesh, kind of a off night for Pat. What's going on?
Right.
But I think you were spot on. Just this team's so versatile with the way he can space the floor, how he confidently shoots threes from the top of the key. You have to respect it. Now all of a sudden it opens up driving lanes. He can come back down in the post and get whatever look he wants. He's so patient. You can't speed anybody up on this team. And it's just really fun to watch. Like Isaiah Stevens, you see he's got a defender right in his grill, and you watch him size him up, create just enough space, and he drills a mid-range with the hand in his face. He had 4 or 5 shots in this one that were just, wow. Again, like I know he's not going to dunk on you. I know he's not the most explosive dude, but you will not find a smarter basketball player at the collegiate level, a better facilitator, or a high-level shot maker, because some of those shots he can make. I mean, to go over 2,000 points, he drilled a mid-range while getting slapped. Like, the dude's just a bucket.
He's just at another level, and with that depth and versatility of options offensively, and that, it's really the strength of this team, I think, is the true strength of it. But then there's the straw that stirs the drink. I mean, and he's a joy to watch right now.
True pleasure. Shout out to our good friend Jenny Kavnar. It was great to see her in Fort Collins. She had some
that was great.
Some funny commentary for Jalen House, which obviously we appreciated. She also had some really nice words to say about the podcast, which I appreciate. She is one of the best in the biz.
Yes.
We're going to move on. We're going to start getting into the league and stuff, but I do just briefly want to set the tone for Utah State, which we have been asked about. Shout out to my guy Taylor. Throw the thumbs up if you're with us. We're all proud to be here in Ram Nation. Show some love, if you will. But Utah State, man, 13-1. It's never easy to play in Logan. Their fans are committed. It's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
Danny Sprinkle, what he's been able to do there in his first year as head coach, they're 13-1. He replaced his entire team. Like, it wasn't by choice. They all left when Ryan Odom left for VCU, but I don't think they have a single point from last year. Maybe it's like 4% or something like that, but none of the main contributors. It's a much different look than what we've been accustomed to these last couple of years. They're not, stacked with shooters the way that they typically are.
Yeah.
But Great Osabor, he's a 6'8", like 260-ish pound 4/hybrid 5, kind of like Bemba, a little bit more refined at this stage of his career. Dude's a monster, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of how CSU handles that. I think we're going to see a lot of Bemba like we did in this one. I think this is going to be a big Joel Scott game, especially defensively. But I do think CSU, they're going to need to shoot the 3 ball better than they did in this last win, because Logan is just a tough place to play, and you're going to need that offensive edge anywhere you can get it.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the onus is going to be on Nick a bit to step up. And, if it's not hitting shots, it's getting to the rack a bit more. Obviously, he was such a key defensively and on the boards, and eventually was really a key to them kind of dominating in transition. I'd like to see him push the pace a little more too, I
was talking about that with my buddy Tyler King from the Denver Gazette. He does great work, by the way, covering all the college teams. We're going to get him on the pod too.
Biggest team in the country. They could definitely push the tempo.
No, and there are times where, he had it in transition and it's like, go. You see when he throws that dunk down from Isaiah, like he has effortless bounce.
Yeah.
Like in a way that you're not going to see very frequently in this league. There are a couple times where I'm like, test him, go up. Worst case, you're going to get fouled.
Totally, man.
So I like that he's not trying to do too much, which you don't want to see him, drive into traffic and it's easy to get carried away.
Yeah.
But I do think that is a big factor, especially just with this team and how well they pass the ball. They're always willing to make that extra pass. If they have the 2-on-1, they're going to get fouled, or they're going to get to the paint, or they're going to get the open corner 3. They're always going to do the right situation. I'm with you. I hope we see a little bit more of that, especially if you're creating turnovers like you were able to in this one.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're saying, this isn't your typical Utah State, they're a little more size-oriented, you are going to need that. It's going to be Nick. Because, it might be another muck-it-up game for Joel Scott. Which
is huge. Like, he's not going for like 30, but the what he's doing, the dirty work down low is so big.
Yeah.
It's allows guys like Nick to come in and crash the glass and kind of clean it up.
Yeah.
He's making a great effort, and he's always in great position. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I just want to make sure that guys like Scott are getting the love they deserve, because what he brings defensively, it's on par with the Jason Liddies of the world, the best, big men in the league. And it's going to be the reason that this team, I believe, has a more realistic opportunity to win the title, just because in those games against, the San Diego States of the world, you need some size, you need some length, or you're going to get bullied. And guys like him, Bemba, Nick, who's so, athletic and big, and Josiah Strong, the Rams know they don't have true 7-footers, but they got a lot of length. They got a lot of athleticism. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to diving into all that with you.
What would you set this spread out in Logan?
CSU by 2.5.
I love that. That's a well-placed line right there. That's a well-placed line. I wouldn't be surprised if it's exactly that when it comes out.
That's about what I'd put it. I think Ken Pom has Utah State winning by 1. So it's it's going to be a big test.
Yeah, the home factor is huge.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this league. And the benefit is, if you slip up, if you have a loss here, it's to one of the top, at the moment at least, top 4 teams in the league. I have some keys for CSU as far as, making a run here. We'll get into it. I think you got to go 5-3 in the 8 games against the top 4 teams. You especially got to be good at home, but a road loss, this would be a Q1 game. Wouldn't kill you. Just some numbers to throw out there real quick. And again, I'll talk about this more in a couple of days. Utah State, they're a top 60 offense. They're a top 50 defense.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are able to defend that level with this many new pieces, that's a testament to Danny Sprinkle. Strength of schedule is not phenomenal. You know, they haven't been quite as battle tested, but they did take care of Air Force handily. CSU currently 10th in adjusted offensive efficiency, 71st on defense. Great to see them back in the top 75. That is of a course from our friends at KenPom.
Yes.
What are we got a couple of games tonight? CU Arizona. We've got the Nuggets are back. The Avs are back. What is like your go-to snack? You're on the way home. You hit up the Circle K.
Great question.
What are you going with? You need something
Great
sweet. You
question.
need something salty.
Yeah, I need something sweet. I'm a sweet tooth guy. Always a sweet snack. Nowadays, you can find some Kinder stuff, the Kinder chocolate, which I grew up on. Still holiday season, so that hits. Or I'm a Reese's man, a Nutrageous. I am Nutrageous myself, and a Snickers. Can't go wrong with a Snickers.
Love a good Snickers. Shout out to our homies over at Circle K. You can get a free membership. All you got to do is sign up with your phone number. They've got an app which is easy to download.
The app will give you money off on gas.
That's what I was going to say. You can get 25 cents off a gallon. Your first 5 fill-ups, you earn rewards for there. Your first 5 Polar Pops are free. So, I mean, if you are not using the Circle K app, not only are you losing money, you're missing out on refreshments. So go get hooked up with our friends over at Circle K. I also got to shout out High Plainz Strains, the presenting sponsor. You guys know the drill. They are the best dispensary in northeastern Colorado. They are going to hook you up for all your needs, infuse edibles, high-potency concentrates, of course, some of the best flower in the state. They've got 3 locations in northeastern Colorado, Log Lane Village, Garden City, one in Sedgwick. If you are in northeastern Colorado, they are the dispo for you. Order online at highplainstrains.com. You can pick up conveniently with their drive-thrus. Don't even have to get out of your car. We are in the future. Full ounce for $80, Veritas eighth for $25. Those are some killer deals. Mammoth 1 gram cartridges for $15, and exquisite extracts are 4 for $40. Remember, one more time, use that code DNVR online or mention DNVR in stores to take advantage of these High Plainz Strains deals. Love them. Love that Dre's back, and I love that the Mountain West is doing its thing. I want to shout out Aztec Breakdown. They do a great podcast, San Diego State oriented. Good friends of mine from over the years. They pointed out for those that are trying to poke holes and be like, oh, you're not a major conference. Right now, when you look at the record against the top 100 in KenPom, the Mountain West is 12-9. They have won 57% of their matchups against the top 100. That's the best in college basketball.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a 57% clip. And you've got these numbers right here.
Yeah, just
like
for comparison,
no one's above 50% as a conference.
Being fair to some of the other leagues, obviously 21 games total. That's like the ACC. They've played 37 games. They've only won 32% of them. The Big 12, they played 31 games, won 42% of them. But you can only play the games that are on the schedule. You look at a top 20 team like Creighton. I believe they're 12-2 against everybody, or 13-2 against everybody else in the country. They're 0-3 against the Mountain West. This is a league that can hang with anybody. The numbers back it up. I think at this point, a 5-bid league is very realistic. Anything short of 4 would be a disappointment.
Anything short of 4 would be shocking. 5-bid feels really good. This is one of those tournaments you'll be watching as a college hoops fan, and if you're a gambler, there'll be plenty of opportunities to sprinkle a juicy dog in that Mountain West tournament, right? Because it's such a wide open conference. It's definitely 5 deep right now. It's crazy that the Rams have so many of those teams on the schedule this month.
Not an easy introduction into the conference slate.
But, if you look at the broadcast, I thought did a great job, the FS1 broadcast during the CSU New Mexico game, of showing the current seeding of all the teams, where the Rams would be a 4 seed, San Diego would be a 5 seed. I think New Mexico was a 9 seed, so that was a 4-9 matchup right there. And I think Utah State was projected as a 12 seed. And then, you could easily throw another squad in there.
Yeah, Boise State's on the perimeter there. They've got to pick up. They're going to have to pick up some big scalps in league play to have a chance. Nevada. But Nevada's on the fringe. Yeah. They're getting the win over Washington was big for them.
And honestly, my gripe with people not thinking this league is up to par It's the AP rankings, man. It's always the AP rankings. They don't know what they're doing. There's too many. If they don't know what they're doing in college football, they definitely don't know what they're doing in college hoops.
It's crazy.
It's like a shame that this is how we go off of things. You know?
It does suck. I will say I feel like the rankings this year have been largely accurate for where CSU probably shapes in the national
CSU,
scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can look at last week. San Diego State goes into Gonzaga, beats them handedly, and I think 5 voters had Gonzaga go up in their poll, which is like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
People don't pay attention. It's why when I do things like the power rankings, when I do try and talk about the league, like it's important to me. Actually watch the games, make sure you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lazy folks out there. Question here from our guy Dane, top 10 ranking if the Rams beat Utah State. They'll be close. The win over New Mexico helped. I think my gut would be it'd probably be more like they jump from 13 to like 11-ish. I think if they go on the road and beat Utah State and then follow it up with the victory over Boise State, so long as they don't slip up after that, then I do think they will definitely be in the top 10. 2 road wins, both would be quality wins, and a win over New Mexico. You'd be 15-1 at that point. I think they're really close to the top 10, but I mean, the last time we were in this position, they slipped up against St. Mary's. So at the end of the day, like I do want to see them jump into the top 10 just for the, I mean, it'd be a cool moment. Like at the end of the day, we've never seen it happen. So it would be a cool moment. But, you know,
awesome.
As Dre said, like we're not going to really hang our hat on the AP poll when it's all said and done. It's going to be about what this team accomplishes in a deep league, what they're able to do in the Mountain West tournament, and ultimately beyond that, because I think that expectation should be championship or bust, regular season title. And I think the hope should be to win at least one game in the NCAA tournament. I want to see this team get to the Sweet 16 because they're good enough to do it. Or further, like even further. But I mean, like just at the end of the year, I'd like to look back and feel like this team achieved or lived up to its potential.
If you're a 4 seed, that means 2 games as a favorite, right?
Yeah, which would be huge. I mean, a lot of it still comes down to, you know, what type of draw you get. So much of the NCAA tournament is wonky. Like,
Of course.
Being a 6 seed last time, you would have thought that was a great spot. Then all of a sudden you get a 6-11 against, you know, Michigan in a Big Ten city. And it's like, oh, yeah, great. So you'd like to avoid a situation like that. It'd be nice if you could get the ball rolling a little bit, you know, kick the crap out of somebody, get the confidence rolling, win a tight game. Then all of a sudden, you know, if you play Michigan in the Sweet 16 versus the opening round, like you've got some juice going. I just think it's different. We saw CSU was up double digits at one point. It's not like they couldn't hang with them.
Yeah.
But there's a long way to go between now and the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
I want to talk about the path to a conference title. Ken Pom has CSU going 14-4 in league play. They've done that twice in the last 3 years and finished second in the league both times. I do think 14-4, which would tie the high water mark for CSU in terms of Mountain West wins. They've never won 15. I think 14 would get it done. I don't think anybody is going to go through this league without multiple losses. I think a minimum of 3. But it's going to be really tight because San Diego State, Nevada, Utah, they're all going to be right there in the conversation. Yeah. We said it earlier. I think you got to go at least 5-3 versus the top 4 in the conference. You're 1-0 right now in that situation. You have a chance here to go 2-0. That'd be a huge start. You got to win at home, though. That's going to be the big thing. You know, you've got to be a San Diego State at home. You can't get swept by anyone. That's the big difference. I mean, a couple years ago, you look at that team that went 14-4, swept Boise State, who won the league, but then you got swept by UNLV. And that's the tough part about this conference. And you can look at it right now. There's not a single team in the league with a losing record. Only conference in college basketball that can say that.
Yep. We were saying that a month ago.
You know, a trip to Laramie is not fun, despite the fact that they're not very good this year. You know, Air Force can be wonky with the Princeton offense, though. I think this year most teams are just going to out-athlete them. It's a tough spot there. But, I mean, like UNLV, another perfect example. They're 500. Yep. They have a win over top 15 Creighton. They've also lost a terrible game to an HBCU. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Southern, maybe. But
I'll find it for you.
You know, they're capable of beating anyone with the talent that they have, and that's a tough spot to go to, too.
Well, the top 6 is just stacked.
It's like a gauntlet.
That's 12 games that are going to be really hard to come out of with just 2 losses.
Yeah, it's
3 losses, you know?
I think 14-4 will get it done. Nobody has ever won the Mountain West with 5 conference losses, 13-5. Maybe this could be the year, just given the parity and the fact that there could be a lot of, cannibalization at the top there. The nice thing is that these losses don't kill you. You go on the road, if you lose to a Utah State team, yes, you are going to drop in the AP poll. You're still going to be ranked, but it's not going to be like, oh man, that just kills your tournament resume. You had all these great wins. It's over. Pack it up. That's nice. I mean, there have been times where the metrics didn't quite back up how challenging this conference is, where it'd be like, oh, you lost in Laramie and it was a Q3 loss or a Q4 loss, despite the fact that, it's the highest elevation in college basketball. It's a tough place to play.
Right. No, I mean, that's the thing. I hope the league starts to get more respect on more of a wide appeal for the people who aren't just looking at the metrics. I'm glad that at least the Rams are the one team that seems to be getting their respect.
Yeah, they're getting their flowers. ESPN metrics don't seem to love CSU. I've got a bone to pick with ESPN metrics.
They're weird. You should see their predictor for this Utah State game.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
I'm with you though. I think the league is in a good spot. I think San Diego State's run to the title game did a lot in terms of validating this conference on a national level.
Yeah.
The Mountain West has been bad in the NCAA tournament, and outside of San Diego State, I think all the other teams lost in the first round again last year. So it's been great that the regular season, they're setting themselves up. I really want to see the conference take advantage this year. Like, let's have 2 Mountain West teams in the Sweet 16 because this conference is good enough for that.
The gauntlet we just described will battle test you pretty nicely for that.
And that's the thing. Like, you're not going to... There's nothing you will see in the NCAA tournament outside of, like, maybe getting to the Final Four and playing, like a Kansas or a Purdue that's going to be tougher than going to Viejas. That's going to be more intense than playing in front of 15,000 people in the pit.
Yeah.
Like, this league has it all.
Yeah. 100%. It's a fun time, man.
It's a great time. It's a great time. A couple more things here. Like I said, 5-3 versus the top 4 in the conference. I think that'll get it done. That's assuming, you drop a couple on the road. I think you need to go 7-2 on the road, or this is what you're aiming for, 7-2 on the road and aiming for 7-1 over these next 8 at home. You're already 1-0 there. That gives you, if you do the math, one game of wiggle room for slip up. Like if you were to drop a UNLV, if you were to lose to a Wyoming or something like that, really hope not. That would be a bad loss at this point. But you never know in a rivalry. I mean, you never know. So,
well, and I mean, that's the planning for the top 4 is all well and good. But then there is Utah State, Boise State, UNLV. Can you go 6-0 in those, Home and aways?
That's a good point. I think, you got room for one loss.
You got room for one. You could go 5-1. Yeah.
We'll see. And that's under, like, if you go 5-3 against the top 8. If you go 6-2 versus the top 8, then you have another game of wiggle room. But I think that's the goal. I think anything more than 2 road losses probably puts you in a bad spot. And you have room for maybe one more home loss, but you got to protect home court. Moby should be sold out for every game for the rest of the season. 5,100 was a bit of an underwhelming crowd on Tuesday night, but the atmosphere felt fuller than that, and I get it. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, do better, Ram Nation. It was an 8:45 start on a Tuesday night, and the students weren't in town. It's a tough spot. I got home well after 1 a.m. For people that have to be at work at 6 a.m. in Denver, I don't fault them for being like, this is a TV game.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know about you, but I could use an ice cold Breck brew.
Yes.
I know it's 10 a.m, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere, folks. And Breck brew makes any occasion better. They've been doing it for 33 years. It all comes down to their love and passion for making good beer. They've got an endless variety that's going to satisfy anybody that you know. Avalanche Amber Ale never misses. Mile High City, crack a couple open tonight while we're taking on the Warriors. Good company, hard seltzer, perfection. Check out the Breck Beer locator at breckbrew.com to find a brew near you.
Nice.
And when you get hurt, Bax and Schenker, they are here to help. Bax and Schenker win for Colorado families. They have been helping those who are seriously injured in Colorado for more than 25 years. free until they win money in your case. There's no fees while they're working on your case. No fees unless they win your case and win money for you. They've already won over $1 billion for their clients. That's with a B. And they have more locations than ever, serving all of Colorado, including neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, and Fort Collins. They have the strength and power to win your case with more than 30 lawyers and 100 staff. Bax and Schenker help with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault, car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. They can even help if you're injured at work. Call Bax and Schenker at 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Schenker wins. All right, dude. It's been a month since we last did power rankings, holidays.
Whoa.
You know, there's the slow stretch where teams aren't playing as much.
Yeah, December was very ho-hum.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I don't think there would have been a ton of movement if we were doing it every week.
Rams needed it too.
I needed it, to be honest with you.
I mean, you're part of Ram Nation. Important part to me.
At number 11, we've got the Air Force Falcons at 7-6. Kudos to them for avoiding having a losing record. It's coming. It's coming soon. But, I mean, we made it to January with nobody in the Mountain West having a losing record. Mm-hmm. Huge win for the league. Ethan Taylor's a nice point guard. I think he still leads the league in minutes played per game. Unfortunately, you know, a 6-foot point guard, it's tough to beat you by yourself.
Yeah, but still 7-6. Pretty impressive early stretch.
Pretty impressive. And they're serving our country. So shout out to Air Force.
Yes.
I'm trying to be respectful. We've got Fresno State at number 10. They are 7-7. They got boat raced by San Diego State last night. They have moments. I don't know, them versus San Jose State. I think you could really make an argument either way. Maybe I should have San Jose State at 10 just because they blew a double-digit lead in Laradice yesterday, the day before. Mm-hmm. They're also 7-7. Cardenas, nice point guard. They have some moments shooting too, but they just have no depth. I mean, neither one of these teams, like outside of their starting lineup, have guys that contribute essentially anything, and that's tough.
Yeah, and I mean, Fresno especially, anytime they've played anyone, they've just got
murdered.
Yeah, so these bottom three teams are teams you have to take business of when you play them.
Yeah, you can't.
Zero slip-ups allowed against Falcons.
Gotta sweep Air Force, gotta beat Fresno.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I think you only play San Jose State once, which is a bummer.
What a bummer indeed.
Yeah. I should confirm that, but let's see. I'll do it later. Yeah, Wyoming, they are 8th, sitting there at 8-6. They had the comeback win, which is why they're above San Jose State. Again, I think they have I don't know if I want to say that it's a better coach than Tim Miles. They have one of the better coaching situations of these bottom 5 here. But, you know, it was a tough spot. They basically had to revamp that entire roster. Yeah. They play as a unit, but yeah, I mean, again, you should expect a sweep if you're CSU. I never discount a rivalry factor. I mean, I talk about it all the time. You have to sweep this team, though. If you're going to win the league, you got to beat them.
Yeah, Laramie's hostile, but no slip-ups allowed.
No slip-ups allowed. You got to take care of business.
EK transferring just kills me every time I think about it.
I hate watching him with Gonzaga, especially because that Gonzaga team is not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just, I hate it. UNLV, they are 7-5. I've got them at 7th. At one point, they were at the barrel of the league. They've won 3 straight. They have talent.
Dude, they're like the friskiest team. They have to be one of the friskiest teams in the entire country.
They're one of the scariest games, I think, in this league because metric-wise, a loss to them is going to really hurt you, but they are as talented on paper as any of these top 6 teams.
They trounced Creighton. They took St. Mary's to double overtime.
And they were up in that game. They blew it. That should have been a win.
They're starting to play half-decent basketball.
They're coming together a little bit. I got an eye on them. I just don't trust Kevin Kruger at this point. I haven't seen anything to believe in it yet, but they've got the talent. Boise State, I've got them at 6, sitting there at 9-4.
Yeah.
Again, on paper, they've got the talent. I do think they miss having a true point guard the way they did in years past, but Tyson Degenhardt's a stud. We'll see. They're a team that I could very realistically see, finishing in the top 3, even though they've had a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, they play well. It'll be interesting to watch them through league play for sure.
Big game coming up next week. That's going to be one where they're coming for the Rams. Like they're going to chance at a top 15, maybe a top 10 scalp. Again, we'll see. I think if they beat Utah State, probably more like 11th, but some of that will also be dependent on what happens in front of them.
It's a tough road game on Tuesday, man.
Really tough road game. Starting with New Mexico at Boise at Utah State at Boise is about as tough as it gets. If San Diego State was in there, that'd be really the only way it got, or like maybe at Laramie,
right?
Just because of the rivalry factor coming off of Christmas.
100%. Yeah, that's going to be, we'll be talking about that one next week for sure.
5, we've got Utah State at 13-1. We're going to see. Again, they don't have very many quality wins as of yet, but they have taken care of business, which you've got to give them a lot of credit for.
Yeah.
Huge game coming up on Saturday.
Yes, it's going to tell us a lot, honestly.
I'll be curious to what you think of this top 4 here. We'll just go close it out. We've got New Mexico at 12-2, Nevada at 13-1, San Diego State at 12-2, CSU at 13-1. What are your thoughts on the top 4?
I think Nevada could maybe deserve to be second right now.
They've got a great duo with Blackshear and Gerard Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
They can really score. It's another tough place to play. New Mexico and Nevada are very similar in terms of strength of schedule. Yeah. It's not the most impressive in the world. I think CSU and San Diego State did a lot better.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I struggled with it. I went back and forth on, do I put San Diego State at second, where I genuinely believe they are. I believe they are CSU and San Diego State are the top 2, in my opinion. I gave it to San Diego State, though, because I think that true road win over Gonzaga is on par with Creighton for the best win in the league. It's one of those two.
It's a good point, for sure. Where do you think San Diego State could end up being ranked nationally?
They should be ranked.
They
should be ranked right now. Yeah. I think they'll be a top 20 team by the time we get to the tournament.
That's my guess as well.
I think the Mountain West will have a good chance to have 3 ranked teams by March.
Yeah, I think so too. They're tied with the Rams at plus 275 when I was looking up the odds to win the league. So,
the league still runs through San Diego. At the end of the day,
public still believes in it. The league does still run.
And it should. When you look at the history of the last 15 years, the regular season and the conference tournament, even in their down years, they still somehow end up winning the conference tournament. The league runs through San Diego until proven otherwise. CSU knows it. Medved's open about that. Yep. Isaiah Stevens has been open about that. They damn near beat San Diego State in Vegas in the tournament last year, right before they went on that crazy run. Mm-hmm. Those games in Viejas and Moby are going to be huge. We already talked about the other games. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in this morning. It's the Mountain Best Conference, baby. We are a Power 5 league, at least on the hoop side. It's going to be a blast. I'll have coverage all season. I've got more written content coming out today. I'm doing a feature on Cartier. We'll get some more takeaways from the offensive execution.
Love it.
Dre, thank you so much for being here, man.
So great to be
Shout
back.
out to Alyssa behind the sticks, making everything run smoothly. Couldn't do it without you. Always proud to be. Much love, y'all. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.